Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and if you're here for the very first time, it is a pleasure to meet you. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British early retirees, we have no debt, we've paid off the mortgage, and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share an aspect of our private life with you. Now this today is part 3 of 3 parts of answering your questions, all about stretching our money, my money, your money, everybody's money as far as we possibly can. And just like our other 2 videos, there are timestamps at the bottom of videos, so you can go to the bit that interests you or watch the whole lot. Let's roll the camera. First of the 4 questions today, and all of the questions have come from Instagram viewers, and the first question is this: how do you manage frugal pet care? And this is very close to our hearts because we love our 2 little dogs. Number 1, we chose small dogs because they are affordable for us to look after. Secondly, we've only got 2 dogs. We haven't got 2 dogs and chickens and 2 dogs and goats or 2 dogs and donkeys. 2 dogs is the absolute zenith of all we can afford pet-wise. So that's part of it, is being realistic about it. We have a sinking fund each month for their vet care and a sinking fund each month for their grooming. We have them professionally clipped. Our choice. I could have gone to classes maybe, or done a course on it maybe, and maybe you have done that and you have learned how to groom your pets. So that's something that you could do maybe. So I've got a fund, I'm realistic about how many pets that I can afford, even though I'd love to have chickens and goats and donkeys. They are beyond my budget. The next part of frugal pet care is I make sure that we make sure that they have plenty of exercise. We make sure that we keep them at a healthy weight. We make sure that, now we don't buy premium dog food. We don't make their dog food. We haven't got them on a raw dog food diet. We've just got them on a good quality dog food, and we only give them the amount that they are supposed to have. So weigh your dog and then weigh out the amount of food that your dogs are supposed to have. The next part of frugal dog care is in between the grooms. We make sure that we keep them bathed, that we comb them through and brush them through regularly, that we make sure that we clip the bits that we can, round their chops, round here, like under their faces, just around the edges of their ears, around their eyes and around their pads, just so that we can keep them groomed and comfortable. Another part of the grooming is to make sure that they haven't got any fleas and ticks that will add to your vet bill. So we make sure that we use the flea and tick treatment, and that is part of our sinking fund to make sure we've looked after them properly. Like I said, you could groom them yourself. You can do as we do between grooms. We do like mini grooms. We have little spa days with our dogs. We clean their teeth, we cut their nails, we look after them. We don't buy the most expensive food, but we don't buy the cheapest, but we buy a good quality dog food. The next question from Instagram is, how do you have frugal hobbies? First of all, it's important to have hobbies. It's important for you to do the things that bring you joy and happiness and give fulfillment to your life. And I think it is a very, very valuable line on your budget to have that. Whether it is, as we do, we set aside discretionary spending for this, or it's something that has an absolute line on your budget. It belongs there. It belongs in your frugal life. It's what you are frugal for. I've shared this before. I have a very good friend who is far more frugal than I could ever be, but their hobby, their passion is going on cruises. So they are frugal for that purpose. I have another friends and people I've known whose hobbies are sports, and in particular somebody who did Ironman and triathlons. And the money that they would spend on a carbon fibre bike and entrance fees to do this was eye-watering. But they didn't spend money on anything else. It was their absolute raison d'etre. It was everything to them. It brought them joy. It was their passion in life. And we have our hobbies too, and we fund them. We put the money aside. So in the years gone by, when I have bought my sewing machine, I bought a good quality sewing machine that I saved for, that I paid cash for, and I'm using it 10 years later. I've now had my long arm sewing machine that was a part of a 10-year saving plan. It got there in the end, but it is important. There are so many things in hobbies that are not thing-based. They're not equipment-based. Maybe your hobbies are going to watch sport. If that is the case, that you have a football team or a rugby team or an ice hockey team that you love, it is your passion, find ways of volunteering with that club. Find ways of being a supporter where you can go and help out on at-home days. And often you will get concessionary tickets or for free. Your passion might be theatre productions, music concerts, music festivals. Again, if you're in the UK and you love the biggest music festival there of Glastonbury, or you're here in France and you absolutely love the French biggest music festival, Vielle Charrue, go and be a volunteer. Go and take that as your annual leave and go and be a volunteer. And you'll be there just before and just after it, and you'll be there for a week, and you will volunteer. You might be part of the first aid post, you might be part of security, you might be doing any of those volunteering positions. You might take on a listening role, a supportive role. You might be a part of the pastoring team there. But any of those things gets you in for free. You might be like me and you might be a crafter, or you might be an artist. There are always people who are taking on a hobby and then they pass it on. It's not their thing anymore. And with quilters, often quilters will get more fabric than they're ever going to use in a lifetime. They will have this moment, this epiphany, and realizing that, and they will sell off a lot of their fabric very, very cheaply. And that is what I do. I buy destashing. I also buy lots of my fabric in the forms of pillowcases, in the forms of duvet covers and sheets, and they are 100% cotton, and I use that in my quilting as well. And of course I set aside a bit of budget for that. So when it comes to frugal hobbies, find ways of doing it for very cheaply. So cycling, buy second-hand bikes. Gardening, buy second-hand equipment. Do as we do, we take cuttings, or we'll go and pull up saplings from other people's gardens and we make our own compost. There's always a way, but I want to finish with this. Hobbies are part of who we are. It's really important, and often they are the reason that we're frugal. The next question, I really like this one. How do you save money with make, do and mend? Let's talk about the make do first. We as a couple have always had this in our relationship. We've always had to made do with whatever we've had. So when we moved into this house, and it was an absolute fixer-upper, we couldn't do everything in one go. We couldn't and didn't have a proper kitchen like this all in one go. So we made do with some second-hand bits of furniture in here. A few sideboards, chest of drawers. We bought the cheapest €100 second-hand wood-burning cooker that we could get, and we limped along with it. We had to keep re-cementing in the fire bricks. We had to keep fixing it, but it kept us going for the almost 18 months until we could afford to buy the wood cooker that we've got now. We've had multiple situations in the past where we've had to make do with a really old car whilst we were saving up for a better car. We had that when we came here. We limped off the ferry with Bert the Berlingo, the Citroen Berlingo. We'd done goodness knows how many thousands of miles. But he did us proud until we could afford to buy something better. And we've done that with absolutely everything. So the make do is you buy something secondhand, you make it do for as long as you possibly can. And we've done that in the past with everything that we've had. At one stage in our lives, we went out and we bought 2 ex-shop display sofas really cheaply, really good price for what they were. And then we kept them for 10 years, and at the end of the 10 years, Mike even reinforced the frame underneath because the frame started to give way. We kept them covered, we kept them looked after because we were just making do with them. So there's one aspect of making do, and that certainly saves us money. And then there's the mend part. And this is the bit that just keeps everything going. Make do and mend. Learn how to service your sewing machine, to service your fridge, the basic things. I wouldn't suggest ever servicing anything big and electrical. Don't go servicing your own central heating system unless you are a central heating engineer, then do it yourself. But all of the things that you can look after yourselves, do so. How many people have clogged up vacuum cleaners? Every single week, take it apart, clean the filters, rinse them under the tap, look after them, take the filters out of the washing machine, clean the coils off the back of your fridge freezer. Those are mending. Look after your car, make sure the tyres are pumped up, make sure you're checking the oil, make sure you're having it serviced on time. All of those things are the mend part of it. Look after your clothes, fix the pockets, fix the hems on something, the make do and mend. How does this save us money? Keeps us out of the shops. That's how it saves us money. The fourth and final question is, how do you do DIY on a budget? Another subject very close to our hearts. We are very keen DIYers. The house has been renovated here, mostly by Mike. So let's get into this one. When it comes to DIY, you really need to have a budget per room and set the budget in advance. Don't just go ahead with the work without a budget. The second part of that is making sure that you cost everything methodically. I mean to the last detail. How many square meters are you painting? How many running meters are you plastering on all the joints, for example? If you are tiling, what is that going to cost you, not just per metre, but for all of it, plus the bits extra that you're going to off-cut, the spare bits because it's not completely square. How much is the adhesive going to cost? How much is the grout going to cost? And then, for example, if you're fitting a bathroom, each and every part of that is not just the bathroom, it's all the pipes, it's all the plumbing, it's all the jointing for those pipes, it's all the adhesive we've got push lock pipe systems here, it's all the taps, it's everything. Make sure that you absolutely do your homework first and that you don't end up with a project that you can't finish. And if you've costed it and you've got a budget, and then you've gone away and you've done the maths in absolute detail and you haven't got enough money, do not start that project. Just don't, because you'll end up with it never being finished properly. So the next part of it, and I'm using the bathroom as an example because a year ago we put in a new to us bathroom. You'll often have people will move into a house and there's a perfectly good bathroom or a perfectly good kitchen, and they will remove it and then they will sell it at a fraction of the price. And that's what we did with our bathroom. And we paid €100 for the sink units, the taps, the bath, the shower, everything. It saved us an absolute fortune. It really did. So look for second hand every single time. The other one, if you want to save money on DIY, is to look for shop display units, especially if it's a kitchen or it's a bathroom. Those will save you an absolute fortune. The next one is DIY has seasonal sales. Do not buy your paint at the wrong time. Really have found this one out. There are seasonal sales for paint. The other one is, don't pick the best brand, don't pick the cheapest brand, pick the middle brand. There's not a lot of difference between the middle brand and the best brand, but there's a big difference between the middle brand and the cheapest brand, especially when it comes to things like tiles, flooring or paint. So there's my best advice for you. Make sure that you set a budget, make sure that you cost it absolutely properly, make sure that you don't start anything that you can't afford to finish, make sure that you buy second-hand as much as you can or shop display unit, and make sure that you shop the sales for everything that you're going to buy. And the other part of that is obviously, like I've said about second-hand, is sell on your tools afterwards. If you finished something, as we did, for example, if you've needed a plasterboard lifter to get things up very high, or you've had to buy scaffolding to paint the outside of your house, is to sell it on afterwards, and that therefore pays for the next project. We didn't buy our own scaffolding, I would like to add, in case anybody thinks it's not a good thing to sell your scaffolding. We borrowed scaffolding, but we did sell on other things that we knew that we would never use again. Thank you massively to everyone who sent in questions all about that big topic of how do we stretch our money as far as we possibly can. Thank you to everyone who hits the like button. A massive thanks to everyone who's joined in with this and left comments. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.